It's 8 p.m. in Banjul, and this is the news for the headlines. Members of Livestock Owners Association visit State House to seek support and recognition from the High Office. Police in Lower River Region arrest 2 men suspected of flouting laws protecting our flora and fauna. An attack on a university campus in Pakistan leaves at least 20 people dead. And protesters in the U.S. state of Michigan take to the streets to vent their anger over contaminated water supply brought about by the hard times. These and other stories coming ahead this half hour. I am your presenter, FATOUMATA NDURE JOBE. His Excellency Mohammed Ould Abdelaziz, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, and his spouse have sent a New Year greeting card to the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya JOBE FATOUMATA. Still on messages addressed to the head of state, the one from the Executive Director of the National Disaster Agency, Lieutenant Colonel Elijah Sani reads, Your Excellency, the 2015 calendar has just ended, and after having taken personal stock of events, it became clear and apparent that every Gambian enjoyed peace, tranquility, development, and improved life and living standards. The NDMA, as an agency under your esteemed office, takes this with pride and thus seizes this opportunity to congratulate Your Excellency and the government of the Gambia for the achievements in the year 2015. We shall join the Gambian people and continue praying for you and the First Family for every good and well-being. May our country grow in strength and wealth for the benefit of all faithful and patriotic Gambians. As the President and Head of State of the Republic of the Gambia, we further pray that Almighty Allah shall continue to protect, guide, and give Your Excellency the strength and wisdom as He, Allah, has given to His messengers, so that Your Excellency can administer this country with much ease and according to the values and ethics of Islam, the preferred religion of Allah. On behalf of the staff of NDMA and our respective families, we pray for your best health, happiness, and success in your various national endeavors, as well as long life, whilst we believe the new calendar will bring several developments and peace to all. We once again wish you a happy 2016. Please accept Your Excellency assurances of our highest consideration and esteem. It ends. A young man has been motivated by his love for the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya JOBE FATOUMATA, to design and fabricate a special executive chair for the head of state. Mohamed Gomez and his family on Wednesday presented the chair to Professor Jammeh through the Vice President and Women's Affairs Minister, Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi. Louis Mendy reports on that.
This chair was made by Mohamed Gomez for President Jammeh. The young man Wednesday delivered the gift to the President through Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi, the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. Mohamed was accompanied to the State House by Grandma Mary Foon, Mother Hadi Jeng, Sister Hadi Foon, and friend Suleiman Baji.
At this seat, I decided to make it for the President because I love the President. I see how he's working for the country and how he's teaching so many youths. So he's encouraging the youths so that they will do their future and they will do good things in the Gambia. Even when you travel, that travel is not your country. When you go to America, America is not your country. When you are a Gambian, you are a Gambian. You cannot go to England, you say England is your country, whilst you are a Gambian. Here is my country, and he will be ever and ever my country.
Mohamed, age 24, is a school dropout. Resident in Talinding, the young man looks ambitious with passion for carpentry.
Carpentry now is my choice because it's my dream now. When I do this learning, after learning, even I have talent. When I learn again, I do the same work as carpenter.
Mohamed was forced out of school because the family couldn't afford to pay the school fees. He left at grade 7 in St. Teresa's Upper Basic School, but is willing to do vocational education if supported. What is more interesting is that though Mohamed is a promising carpenter, this is the only seat he ever made, simply because he doesn't have the financial muscle to start the trade. Lamin Dabo, the Executive Director of the National Youth Council, said Mohamed's case is a shining example that Gambians are skillful and that they only need to take the chances.
What we want to say is to encourage Mohammed that it's not easy to be successful in anything. And people who need shortcut to success definitely does not reap the word of success. If you want to be successful and remain successful and continue to succeed in whatever you do, you must definitely learn it properly, and you must also go through some challenges.
Dabo used the opportunity to call on youth to emulate Mohammed. To entrepreneurs, Dabo said they should endeavor to support people like Mohammed.
But when you have a skill, you have a secure source of income for your livelihood, to take care of your family. Today we are witnessing a lot of young people leaving our countries, going through the back way. And as Ma will always say, even if we migrate, let's migrate with dignity. At least let's have a skill that we will definitely be able to utilize anywhere we find ourselves in the world. But we have young people who are leaving the source of this country, they didn't have any skill. The place they will find themselves are in the camps.
Grateful to Mohammed, Vice President Aja Dr. Aissatou Njie said he thanked the young man for his determination and love for President Jammeh. Madam Njie said he urged the National Youth Council to support young Mohammed by facilitating his enrollment to vocational schools such as GTTI and NYSS. The Vice President also thanked Mohammed's family for the moral support. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Members of the National Livestock Owners Association on Wednesday called on the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. The body, formed in 2015, works to promote and safeguard the interests of members. Louis Mendy reports the association is seeking support and recognition from the presidency.
National Livestock Owners Association were also granted audience with the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs in the State House on Wednesday. The body was established in 2015 with the ultimate aim of maximizing livestock development in all aspects, and now wants recognition by the government.
We deem it necessary to come here to the Gambia government, to the office of the Vice President, and then show her our plan of action, our intention, our aim and objectives. We need the Gambia government to support. I know they have been supporting, but then livestock is not a small department in the Gambia government. And then definitely, if you see our economics in the Gambia, when it's time to Tobaski or other events, we have to share our economic with other countries. Meaning we have to go to Senegal, Mali, buy animal stock to bring them to the Gambia. So our objective is just to make sure that that one is reduced. We have enough livestock in the Gambia so that we can meet the demand of the Gambian people.
The National Livestock Owners Association provides representation for livestock owners in the livestock sector.
Looking at the livestock sector, we were not represented. We were the least represented because most of us were represented by either the National Farmers Platform or NACOFAG, which were representing us in our own issues. So now at least we prefer to have a representation that will at least be based on farmer interests.
The association thrives on 4 pillars. One is the livestock health and production. The other is livestock security.
These pillars are livestock production, livestock health and production. That is one of our area of functions that will be functioning in that arena to make sure that livestock are healthy and they are produced to satisfy the ever-increasing market demands of the Gambia. The other pillar is livestock security. In this livestock security, that is the protection and security of livestock in the Gambia, was a major factor that was affecting us. Why? Because you will see an individual, especially the underprivileged, that is the women, they will rear and develop and make sure they have enough livestock, but all of a sudden it will just be one day an individual from nowhere will come and steal all these livestock.
The third pillar is the environment. The fourth is the commercial and marketing of livestock.
When you look at the livestock sector of the Gambia, when we talk of the livestock development, most of the problem we have is trucks. We have a problem with these livestock trucks. There are no trucks. There are no grassland. There are no dairy points. Or even if we have them, they are not enough. So always we have problems with this. That's why we have another pillar that is established on this sector. And the fourth one is commercialization and marketing. Looking at the sector or the structure of livestock in the Gambia, we have what we call, we rear livestock to have the number large rather than having the quality. And most of us, as we know, we don't sell livestock. We prefer to have that number in counts rather than having numbers that they have the best. And these people will be there to make sure that livestock are at least introduced to the market, and they will be sold at reasonable prices to make sure that each and every Gambian have these products, that is meat, milk, and other products of livestock, at least at a reasonable price to control the ever-increasing demand of the population on livestock products.
Ibrahim Ojalo is the president of the newly established National Livestock Owners Association.
So our objective is just to make sure that people can easily go to the market, have livestock produce so that they can benefit themselves. And that's the main objective of this association.
Challenges in livestock sector include limited drinking points for animals, grazing land, and cattle theft. What also concerns this body is the manner in which the judiciary handle cases of cattle rustlers, who they say often go free after stealing, much to the dismay of cattle owners. The association also wants mobility to ease their job. Hailing the association for the great desire for the livestock sector, which is also a catalyst to the realization of Vision 2016, Vice President Aissatou Njie Seydi assured the body government support at all times. Vice President Njie Seydi described President Jammeh as a chief farmer who cares for the welfare of farmers. On the challenges in the livestock sector, such as the scarcity of grazing land, the Vice President advised that the problem could be solved at community level, supported by the Land Banking Initiative recently adopted by the Lands Ministry. Shirfo Bojang, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, was present. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Over to News Jan. Members of Cabinet this evening presented the produce from their farm to the President, His Excellency Chair Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babli Mansa in a short ceremony conducted at the State House grounds. A total of 84 bags of maize was produced from their farm in Jalambang, which was cultivated alongside the community. The President hailed a remarkable partnership between his ministers and the community of Jalambang, a partnership that will undoubtedly enhance the national food self-sufficiency drive. We hope to bring you that report in our news at 10. Meanwhile, 2 men suspected of breaking legislation enacted to protect our diminishing forest cover are in police custody. Ibrahim Afati and Ibu Sow, who are helping police in Quinella get to the bottom of the said crime, were arrested when a truck carrying forestry products got stuck in the mud. Aissatou Keita picks up the rest of that story.
5 kilometers from the main road, the Kiang West National Park was the scene of an incident which led to the impounding of a truck loaded with logs. This event occurred early Tuesday morning when the truck got stuck in the mud as the occupants attempt to make away with their looted treasure.
I asked him, where is the culprit? He said, no, only the driver is available here. Then I advised him to take the driver to the police station so that we can get hold of the culprit. So that's the time they reported to the police station. Then I drive all the way from Soma to come and meet them at the police station. Right now, the only information that we got pertaining to this is the one that we obtained from the statement that was written by the park manager and also the culprit.
This incident is one such event that occurred despite a press release in November that all permits regarding the felling of trees in the forest are suspended.
I questioned the driver as to who owns the logs. He told me it was Ibu. When I asked him whether he have his contact number, he said yes. He gave me the number. I called Ibu. I asked him, where are you? Ibu said he is heading to Kampasa. I told him, what are you going to do in Kampasa? He said he had a problem with the forest people at Dumbuto, so he is going out to look for help. I told him, please come to the police station now. We need you at the police station. He said, no, if I come at the police station, you are going to jail me. I told him, no, just come, I will help you. If you come immediately, I will not tell anybody. But if you stay away, you are going to mess yourself. So please come now. When I told him that the next 15 minutes he appeared, we cautioned them and we charged them for illegal logging.
Actually, what has happened is an illegal act. It's an offense. It has happened in a national park, and the culprit has no permit, In fact, in a national park, must not cut trees in a national park.
These were the suspects, Ibrahim Afati, who happens to be the driver, and Ibu Sow, suspected to be behind the act. However, despite the highly publicized press release on the said issue, it seems many do not even know the Forestry and Parks Act. But for the case of Ibu Sow, the act is well known to him, but this is the only means he has to feed his family. As highlighted by authorities, the place will be under the direct observation of the police officers who will help offload the logs and transfer them to the station. Anybody found wanting will be charged according to the Forestry and Parks Act of the Gambia. These officials are convinced will serve as an eye-opener to many engaged in such activities.
If you look at what has happened today, the culprit has really contravened both the Forestry Act, the Wildlife Act, as well as the press release that was done in November. So actually both departments, the Department of Parks and Wildlife, Department of Forestry, as well as the ministry, would not take this case lightly. We want to set a good example for everybody to see that, this suspension is on and should be respected by everybody.
As of now, the culprits who are due to stand trial at the Kiang Magistrate Court for their alleged offences will be under detention at the Queen Ala Police Station, whilst police officers continue their investigation. Reporting for Grts News, I am Aissatou Keita.
34 families living in the West Coast region have received relief materials from Child Fund The Gambia, Ding Ding Bantaba Federation and the WEC Commission. The handing over comes months after a wind gust did damage their houses. Aissatou Jata has more on that story.
The donation could not have come at a better time, for apart from having to live in their damaged houses, the victims also had to bear challenges associated with displacement, like exposure to mosquitoes that could have an impact on their health. Children, who often bear the brunt of natural disasters, it seems were the main reason why the two organizations alongside National Disaster Management Agency decided to intervene.
Disasters are inevitable. They are within man's life. Actually, we did not like to have such forums, but unfortunately, during the rainy season, almost 75 families in our enrollment or in our sponsorship program are struck by windstorm and rain disasters. But unfortunately, we cannot do it all. We decided to collect the data in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency to make sure we have adequate data and correct data for the families affected. During the process, we liaised with the work mission at in Sibanor, and they were also able to give a helping hand to those families. Because our main concern is how do we get a proper or a good shelter for those children to be safe. If their families are struck by disaster, they have no shelter, there is no development that we can venture in. So therefore, we feel it necessary that we have a stake to make sure we provide them with at least a token of building materials, specifically corrugated iron sheet, to support the rebuilding of their houses.
Ibu Sow, Dindim Bantaba Federation manager, said the storm affected people in Foni Berefet, Bintang, and Kansala. He spoke about the timeliness of the intervention and stressed that materials will assist the beneficiaries in their attempts to recover from the disaster. Dindim Bantaba Federation board member, Sehu Sanyang, urged the beneficiaries to make efforts to avoid a repeat of this hardship they went through, but not without telling them to use the donated materials for the intended purpose. Lalo Baji, who spoke on behalf of his fellow beneficiaries, promised to use the materials to renovate their damaged houses. Reporting for Grts News, I am Aissatou Jata.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Stay tuned.
When I'm on the internet, I go to YouTube, check out my team, send email, make Skype calls, see what's new on Facebook, and chat on WhatsApp. To do all that I want to do online, the fastest and the best way is to use Sunu Bundle from QCell.
Sunu Bundle is available in 20 megabytes, 40 megabytes, 80 megabytes, 150 megabytes, and 300 megabytes.
To get Sunu Bundle, just dial *303# and select your bundle of choice. QCell has reduced the cost of SIM cards from $50 to $10. Yes, only $10. QCell Sunu SIM also comes with $10 credit. So what are you waiting for? Rush now and pick up a QCell QCell SIM card today.
Call 111 for more information.
Sunu SIM, Sunu Bundle, Sunu Bus.
Police in Pakistan say an assault by militants on a university campus is now over, and all the 4 men have been killed. Security forces were engaged in a gun battle with militants who stormed the university, targeting students and teachers. At least 20 people are dead. Most of them victims were shot in their dormitories. There are conflicting reports about who carried out the attack. DWTV has the rest of that story.
Hospital crews rushed to care for the dozens of injured. The focus now is on saving as many lives as possible. Others are in mourning and disbelief. The morning's dense fog allowed the 4 gunmen to scale the walls and enter Bacha Khan University. School officials say about 3,000 people were on campus as the militants opened fire, targeting students and teachers. There was confusion as the attacks began. We heard firing from the back of campus. We thought maybe some people were fighting. Then the firing increased. So we said, get into the rooms and don't go out. Then the security forces arrived. They showed great bravery. The army soldiers also showed great bravery. Police arrived first, followed by the Pakistani army. Some teams evacuated students and staff, while others focused on hunting down the attackers. Shortly after noon, security forces killed all 4 gunmen and announced the end of the operation. Police say most of the victims were shot in the male dormitories. The region in Pakistan's northwest is a stronghold for the Taliban. Just over a year ago, they attacked a school in nearby Peshawar and killed 136 children, prompting several major military offenses and airstrikes against the extremists.
Keeping Europe's internal borders open is something Germany's president is strongly in favor of. During his early speech at the opening of the World Economic Forum in Davos, he called on EU states not to close their borders. The migration issue is likely to overshadow other concerns of the summit, such as slowing economic growth. Let's turn to this DWTV for more on that.
Davos has seen the arrival of leaders, thinkers and entrepreneurs from around the globe, but they're not here for winter sports. The agenda of this year's World Economic Forum is packed, but Klaus Schwab, who started the annual Alpine meeting in the 70s, thinks that the right people are there to solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
We are here, leaders from all walks of the life, political leaders, business leaders, particularly also the young people.
Young and old were starstruck by the presence of Leonardo DiCaprio. The actor picked up the event's Crystal Award on opening night. But behind the Hollywood glamour was some real substance, with DiCaprio passionately advocating ecological reform while squarely attacking the fossil fuel industry.
We simply cannot afford to allow the corporate greed of the coal, oil, and gas industries to determine the future of humanity. Enough is enough. You know better. The world knows better. History will place the blame for this devastation squarely at their feet.
Another big topic in Davos, economic inequality, the growing divide between the super rich and the devastatingly poor, an intractable problem. And also on the agenda, healthcare, with cancer research getting top billing. US Vice President Joe Biden is taking his initiative to other world leaders, and his hopes are high.
Our goal is to make a decade's worth of advances in 5 years instead of 10, and eventually end cancer as we know it. We're not trying to make incremental change. We're looking for quantum leaps.
Quantum leaps or baby steps, Davos is all about finding solutions to the world's problems. Hundreds of panels are being held in the next few days, with insiders hoping that at least some goals can be reached.
The governor of Michigan is promising help for economically struggling cities trying to overcome a crisis over contaminated drinking water. The water is contaminated with lead and there is no easy, quick, or inexpensive fix. Protesters want the governor prosecuted. CNN reports on how the crisis started and what officials have done about it.
It is something many take for granted. Fresh, clean water from the tap in your home. But for the nearly 100,000 residents of Flint, Michigan, it's a problem.
It smelled like toilet.
Rhonda Kelso says that toxic water has been flowing in Flint for nearly 2 years. She's part of potential class action suits alleging the governor and other state and local officials lied to the community about what was in their water.
It's unconscionable. You really don't want to think about it. You want to block it out of your mind. It's like, did they really do that?
The suits allege that in 2014, local and state officials made the decision to switch from the safe Detroit water supply to water from the Flint River, a savings of about $60 a day, according to the federal complaint. At the time, Flint was under a financial emergency.
People, of course, are talking about rashes, they're talking about hair loss, they're talking about seizures that never happened before. We're talking to women that have had miscarriages.
Officials failed to add an anti-corrosive agent to the river water, which then allowed lead from some of the system's pipes to contaminate the water. The complaint states that Flint emergency manager at the time and now defendant Darnell Early made the decision.
Can you explain why you twice declined to go back to Detroit water even after there were problems?
I'm not at liberty to answer any questions regarding that situation.
Governor Rick Snyder admits the water crisis is a disaster, but many are questioning the state's response. According to a new lawsuit, the U.S. EPA wrote in June 2015 a detailed memo outlining unacceptable levels of lead in Flint's water. That was shared with state officials, but no action was taken. It wasn't until October 2015 that the state changed Flint's water supply. So far, hundreds of residents have complained of health issues, including Rhonda Kelso, who now worries about the future of her 12-year-old daughter.
What are you asking for from the officials of the state?
A refund for paying for poison. I'm asking for compensation for injuries to my daughter. I'm asking for compensation for my property damage.
Jean Casares, CNN, Flint, Michigan.
We take our second break now. The weather is next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's now take a look at the weather report from the Central Forecast Office.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects. In know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Hello, this is the weather report from the Central Forecast Office, and we'll begin with a summary of the day's weather conditions, where you experienced warm and sunny conditions across the entire country during the day. Over now to the satellite image, where you can see dry and stable conditions over the Gulf of Guinea states and elsewhere. In southern and parts of eastern Africa, you can see convective clouds and prevailing across these regions. But tonight, we're expecting fairly warm and slightly hazy plus partly cloudy conditions. And for tomorrow, we're expecting slightly hazy, cool and partly cloudy conditions in the morning, becoming warm and sunny in the afternoon. During this period, we'll experience northeasterly winds, and they will be running at a speed of 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures will be 14 degrees Celsius over Upper River region, going up to 15 degrees Celsius over Central River region. As we move on to Lower River region, we can see 16 degrees Celsius around this area, dropping down to 14 degrees Celsius over North Bank. West Coast region will record 15 degrees Celsius, and the Greater Banjul areas record 16 degrees Celsius respectively. And this will go up to a maximum of 38 degrees Celsius over Upper River and the Central River regions, dropping down to 35 degrees Celsius over Lower River, North Bank and West Coast, whereas Greater Banjul areas record 34 degrees Celsius respectively. At 2 a.m., we'll have a low tide of 0.4 meter and 0.3 meter at 2 p.m. At 6 a.m., we'll have a high tide of 1.5 meter and 1.7 meter at 9 p.m. Wave height with 0 to 1 meter high. There will be northwesterly swells. The sun will rise at 7:34 and sets at 18:59. That's the weather forecast, and a good night.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Members of Livestock Owners Association have visited State House to seek support and recognition from the High Office. Police in Lower River region have arrested 2 men and suspected of flouting laws protecting our flora and fauna. An attack on a university campus in Pakistan has left at least 20 people dead, and protesters in the U.S. state of Michigan have taken to the streets to vent their anger over contaminated water supply brought about by hard times. That's all for you now. Join us at 10 for more news. Until then, I am your presenter, FATOUMATA.